Hey guys, welcome back. Robocraft Early Access coverage. This is episode 23. I'm Enigmas, and today, 4 more matches. Talking about a number of different things in these matches, and a sneak peek at our new Tier 10 Plasma Hover. If you want to just look at the Tier 10 Plasma Hover, you can jump to about the 11-minute 45-second mark of the video. That's where you'll find it. But first, we've got some matches going on here. Now, this is accumulated match footage. This is the last of the batch that I had that I've been working through for the last couple of episodes. And I kind of wanted to mix it up a little bit because sometimes it's not quite so easy to learn what we can get out of a particular match, win or lose. You can see we've just dispatched a flyer. We get this map a lot, you may have noticed. It's not that I like showing you guys this map so much. It's that this is a map that I spend a lot of time on. Now, having just gotten rid of that guy behind us, which is good, because those are the guys that sneak up behind me and put me in a very, very bad position early in a match when I lose all my legs or all my guns or some other nonsense. And then I kind of noticed that there's a lot of firing going on, people shooting over that ridge, and it's just not a good time to be peeking over at all. So I decided that I would withdraw a little bit. You can see down here we got another flyer who's not completely on his own. We've got one of our flyers is going after him, and then there's another flyer up there. So we've got this guy. You can see the spotting fell off, but he's kind of crippled and off in the distance. So I'm thinking to myself, now what do I do? Because I'm removed from the front. The guy that was behind us, you saw, just got destroyed. I'm trying to keep my eye on everything. You know what they say, head on a swivel. There's only so much you can do when there's so many flyers in a match. So I feel like even re-watching this footage, I'm doing not too badly. I'm putting pressure on the flyers. We got 1 kill and some damage on 2 now. But at the same time, we're not really feeling like we're making any progress. And then this guy comes down, and it's pretty much game over because we're reloading. He's an interceptor, which means he's all about the SMGs. And as soon as you start taking out like wings and rudders and legs, the ability to control how we land is pretty much gone to hell. And that's kind of the end of the match for us. And looking up at the roster, pretty close to losing anyways. Now you might say, what's the point of showing that? It looks like every other loss. And the point is, I kind of removed myself from what was going on, and I was so busy worrying about who was flying around me and not getting jumped that my situational awareness went to absolute garbage. I knew that the enemy was trying to cap. I knew that our guys were under a lot of pressure. They were being pushed away from our own cap by the guys that were coming around the corner, and they didn't fare so well in their retreat. That's about all I know, and that's just from the glances that I was getting as I was taking a look at what was going around. The enemy had a lot of flyers. They were in an advantageous position, and they capitalized on it. We were doing the best we could. I felt like we did okay. We kind of, we were in a bad position. We got a kill, but then we wouldn't be able to move because we were pinned down basically over that ridge. And that brings us to this match. And this whole idea of starting in one location, holding down a flank, or at least, keeping an eye on the flank, maybe putting a little bit of pressure on them, using the laser designator from the railguns to keep these guys at bay. And then realizing the rest of my team is complete opposite direction, so let's relocate to support them. And again, there's only so much that I can do, especially when I'm airborne. See, I could have shot at him, but in the time it would have taken to land, get a bead on him, get zoomed in, and then take a shot, I would have been in the exact same spot. So that was one of those situations where I made a decision to relocate, and I paid the price for it because that guy came ripping around the corner. And to be honest, when something like that happens, when a guy can so easily dance through an entire flank like that, it's just like one guy coming through the flank. I want to know what happened to the rest of my team that they let that happen. And then I get to see stuff like this. And we've talked about this. There's this guy right in front of us here, he's got 2 guns. He's not using them. You can see every once in a while, you see the red laser. He's got a railgun lighting him up. Now he's shooting back. The other guy, he's taking a couple shots, he gets hit, he drives back to the medic. He waits to get healed, and then he advances and he takes a couple shots and he gets hit and he drives back to the medic. This is like a defensive kind of strategy, and you have to understand that defensive strategy usually doesn't work. because now they're getting surrounded. Look, they got a guy coming from that direction, they got a guy coming from that direction, they had the two coming from the opposite direction, there's another one. They're done for. It's game over. Do we need to hammer on this medic clusterfuck anymore? I think we do, because people are still doing it. I think this is going to be a regular feature, and we're going to highlight it every opportunity we get, because now it's basically game over, and you wonder how enemies dance through the flanks at the beginning of a match unchecked, because teams comprised of the same people who gather around the medic and have a little powwow until their bots can't shoot anymore. The irony. Isn't that ironic? We're here to get healed and we always die. So this brings us to another one, and this is another example of me doing something wrong. How's that? I realized after the last video, if we're going to keep doing these match segments, that I need to focus as much on matches where I've made mistakes as on pointing to other people's mistakes. Otherwise it looks like, you know, I'm trying to paint a picture that I'm not. This is another very common map. This is the one that I like because it's wide open with a nice high ridge all the way around it. But it's still, there are things that I need to be aware of. It's just because I like it doesn't mean it's like a no-brainer kind of a situation. So as I'm usually apt to do on this map, I'm not in a rush to advance around the ridge. I'm kind of sizing things up as I go, keeping an eye out for enemies coming around the corner on this big ridge. And otherwise, really, trying to support my team as best I can. What often happens is my team goes the other side of the map. And then there's not much I can do to support them, and it's, again, you put yourself in that position. Do I want to cross the center of the map in the air and risk getting shot down, or do I just want to kind of push around and do what I can? You can see there, this is the beginning of my mistake, is we had that rail guy up on the ridge where I like to be, and I've been in that position too, where I just kind of peek down and all of a sudden I've got one gun and no legs left, because everyone was looking at me for some reason. So now he's in really rough shape. And he's over there off in the corner, and I see there's some guys down there, but they're out of range, so we're going to keep looking at this guy over here, and oh, he's not spotted anymore, but there's his laser. He knows we're here. He's not spotting me, so someone is going to distract him, and then I'm going to go down here now. Yeah, see, we shot him again. Ha ha ha. Aren't we clever? Look at how much time I'm investing just looking at the one guy. Look at what's happened to my team in the meantime. They've been decimated. That's the tunnel vision that I talk about, where you get so fixated on a target that's no longer even a threat. The opportunity you might have had to turn the tide somewhere else in the match is lost. And now, this is peeking over and losing guns and legs is kind of what I'm talking about. 2 legs and 2 guns gone. There's not much more that we can do. And then, I love these clever little SMG tanks, and when I say love them, I mean I hate them unless they're on my team. Where it's really, really hard to control a bot like this. But you see, it doesn't look like there's anybody coming up that ramp. And then all of a sudden, bam, there's one directly beside me. I gotta give him credit, this sneaky bastard. And this will be the last one from this series. We might end up having to do more with the T8, T9 Spider Bee. Just because the next bot that we're going to be building is going to be a little while in production, but this, I still enjoy this bot for the sake of just going and kind of grinding out some RP so I can buy some blocks for our next bot. I'm sick of rails right now. I'm so sick of rails. They're so restricted, and there's so many times where you feel like other people have a bigger offensive punch and they don't have anywhere near the restrictions, thinking plasma cannons mainly, but SMGs can do very well. The one thing that I dislike the most about the rails is that reload is obnoxious and completely unnecessary for the amount of offense that we actually deliver. If you swapped the reload between plasma and rails, I kind of think that we'd be a little bit closer to balanced than we are now. So in this case, we're looking basically in the same spot as that other guy was, and you can see, because I can see the silhouette of the bots themselves and not just the lights on the bots, that's my indication that they're in range and I can shoot at them, and if I shoot accurately, then I'll be able to do damage. And so now there's 2 bots that are basically pinned in that valley who don't want to advance out because I'm there shooting down at them. That's something productive. I don't feel bad in this case about looking down on these guys and ignoring what's going on elsewhere because I'm keeping 2 bots contained, and then we've got that flyer who's now advanced and he's raining hell down on them. So, I mean, that was a good opening kind of thing. And since this guy is still able to shoot at me, I'm going to keep him busy so he's not shooting at the plasma bomber that's flying around right above his head, or that I thought was flying around right above his head. But he'll get his. Here it comes. Maybe today, sometime. It can't go well for that guy, the SMG down on the ground, because I'm just waiting to reload. He's a ways away, and there we go. There's the plasma bomber. I think, not to be, pointlessly critical, but I kind of feel like the plasma bomber could have been a little more timely in attacking that guy. He basically hung me out to dry, the bastard, because I was getting shot, and I was intentionally keeping that guy busy so that he could get some good, clean shots on him, and then he doesn't even take advantage. What a bastard. And now this is the scenario where we're pushing them back towards their circle. We only see 3 lit bots, which is pretty consistent with what's showing up on the roster, so we're in a good position, as long as we don't get stupid, because it's just so easy to get stupid and forget that you can't just charge in now because there's only 3 when it only takes 1 to ruin you. So, 4 matches, some things to learn, some things to keep in mind. Let's go look at something new. And here we are in the prototyping bay. This is the Pretty Hate Machine. This is going to be our Tier 10 Plasma Hover. Now the name, in case any of you are wondering, I haven't listened to any Nine Inch Nails in years, but it stuck in my mind when I realized that I was trying to build this bot to counter everything that I hated about what I was experiencing in the Spider Bee, our flying rail walker, specifically all these really important things dangling outside. Legs, wings, rudders, guns, all that other stuff is all dangling outside the bot. Very, very vulnerable to being shot. So we want to try and consolidate all of this into something a little bit more protected. And also vulnerability to plasma from the bottom. Now, one thing I want to stress before anyone comments, before anyone says, this is not complete. This is just the beginnings. It was something I had all the components. I had bought all the components, and I wanted to start putting things together to kind of get a feel for how they might go together, even though the bulk of the bot is still yet to be built. So what we've got here is 6 Tier 10 plasma cannons. Of course, our driver's seat. 2 Tier 9 rudders tucked in back here. You see how they're positioned? If I can get in here without jiggling around. This is how you would normally expect to see a rudder. This is the back, this is the front, and you'd be flying in that direction. But in this case, we've got it kind of weird. And this is specifically to bring the rudders inside the vehicle so that they aren't dangling out where they can get so easily shot off. We've got a couple of thrusters, by no means necessarily all the thrusters that we'll have on the bot. We're going to experiment with that. We're going to do an episode on that, experimenting with thrusters and rudders and all those other things in weight. We're going to see what we can come up with. We've got 6 Tier 10 hover blades, 3 on either side. You can see the one in the middle is out a little bit, which is not a problem. Here's our anti-plasma shield. Hopefully, this isn't going to be necessarily what you will see when you're looking at the bottom of the completed vehicle. It may be, depending on how we do for CPU and things of that nature, but I actually plan on cladding this entire thing in blocks, so that there will be a layer of blocks, and then there will be this, and then there will be the chassis. And the whole idea is to prevent from having that one super obnoxious rail blob splash under the vehicle and come up and destroy the 3 or 4 blocks between the ground and the seat and send you back to the garage much faster than you thought would be possible. So there's that. I've got a couple of thrusters down here. Messing around with these mostly just to see if they assist with maneuverability. Again, this is prototyping, so these aren't necessarily going to stay, and if they do stay, they won't necessarily be the same tier. They might be larger, depending on how things go. And of course, I've got these... I don't really like these electroplates right here. I think they'd be very costly and difficult to build around the way I have in mind. But because of the way everything came together, and especially the rudders, you can see the yellow line where the edge of the rudder is. I can't move this in any farther. I would have liked to move this in any farther, but I would have to relocate the rudder. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Nothing is set in stone. I just wanted to kind of get them on and then see how this thing takes shape. So it's going to be an above average size bot. All of my bots are. You can see down from the bottom, it's quite large. It's all armor core. Every single little bit of it is armor core. And you can see we've got sort of like the spine thing, and then we've got the sideways sort of squiggles down either side, and then all of this stuff that we're adding on. The seat won't necessarily stay there either. That's just kind of a temporary replacement. We might build a little bit elevated kind of spot. Ultimately, I would, if I could. I couldn't with this current configuration, but maybe when we get into the other garage bay, we can start messing around. But I would like to get some electro plates over the driver's seat as well, just so that it's a little bit obscured. You can't see exactly where it is just by glancing at the bot. Now, the long-term goal is we're actually going to build, if we can, again, CPU allowing, a shroud all the way around the outside, basically a wall. And the idea is that I don't want to be catching hits to critical systems from the side or behind. It's going to limit my ability to fire the plasma cannons just by turning the cannons as opposed to the vehicle, but this is a hover vehicle, so I think we'll be okay. Now, before we get too carried away trying to describe what will be, let's take it into a practice map, and we'll just see how it's shaping up now, and then in the next episode, farming going well, we're hoping, we'll be able to take something into a tier 10 match and see how the early version starts shaping up. So this is what it looks like when it's just kind of hovering and doing its thing. It turns very nicely on a dime, and this is very important when we're considering the design itself. If we're going to have the vehicle shrouded in such a way so that you can't fire out the back without hitting walls or out the sides, without clipping a bunch of walls, and of course the guns themselves, we want to make sure that we can turn the vehicle as quickly as we possibly can. Now, one of the things that I noticed, and you'll notice that the game tends to stutter when I do this, or at least the vehicle does. With a little bit of practice and the right sensitivity on your mouse, you can make it so that you can turn the guns at the same rate as you're turning the vehicle, and then you don't have to wait for the guns to catch up to the vehicle before you can shoot. Fucking plasmite. It's fast, which we like. We like the rapid response element. It's OP as hell against tier 1 bots, which is, you know, we're okay with that. And again, it turns very well even at speed. So if we find ourselves in a position where we're maybe circle strafing around a target, giving him fits, making him want to rage quit, all that other stuff, we could do that. It's a little bit unstable if we go up to a highest elevation that we're allowed with the hover. I've noticed in the past that it will occasionally, especially going over rough terrain while turning, it might want to flip over a little bit. But for the time being, it's not bad. All of this stability, you see there's no wobble in the vehicle when it's going over flat land. It's only wobbling when it goes over rough terrain. All of that comes from the 2 rudders that are inside the vehicle. They don't have to be dangling outside where they can get shot off. So there's that as well. I could go on and on and on because I'm having a lot of fun both building and messing around with this. But like I say, it'll be even better when we get some proper tier blocks on it, and then we can get into some matches and see how it does. At tier 10, we're going to get eaten alive, but we're going to at least earn some tier 10 tech points so we can unlock the tier 10 chassis blocks with which to finish building the exterior shroud. So if you want to be notified when I add the next video, the easiest way to do that is to subscribe to my channel and or follow me on the social media. Links for the social media are in the information section below the video. Please do leave your comments and feedback. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.